I'm Sonny Boy from Elmwood Street. We're on the corner of Lake Street and Elmwood in Burbank. When we first rolled up around here, there was actually a lot of gangs around here. There used to be like 18, Frogtown, Avenue, Diamond Street, all in this little cul-de-sac. Be partying, whatever. I lived a few blocks down. Started hanging out here and we started clearing people out. All the youngsters started having little problems with little different neighborhoods and getting into it. Started kicking it right here. We were known as Burbank Executioners. It was actually a football team. But because of racial problems in the city of Burbank with the whites, we changed the name to Varrio Elmwood because we kicked it here on Elmwood. There was a white gang in the city of Burbank that used to run around and jump Mexicans. So we started to group together, walking to school and doing things together. That's how my neighborhood started. A white gang called Burbank Punks Organization. And actually, a couple of Burbank PD, the police, kids were involved in it. So it was like, we're battling the cops and and that other white boy gang at the time. I was actually going to school with all them. I used to get into it every day, all day long with those guys until I got kicked out of school.
So who started the Burbank Punks organization, the white guys?
I actually couldn't tell you. I know it was these two brothers. And I guess the punk phase was really prominent back then. It was a lot of punk rockers, and they started to group together. And I guess they were going out with some gang called FFF, Fight for Freedom, and they established their own little neighborhood. It really wasn't much of a problem with them. We were tearing them up. It was like nothing to us because once we grouped up together, they just couldn't. They were going to the extremes that we would go to. But then they started running around with different neighborhoods, like righteous gangs, and they were coming after us too. So that's how my neighborhood kind of got established. I just knew when they came with funny colored hair and they would see a Mexican, they would jump us. And then they started writing like swastikas, and it just went racial real quick. We started hearing rumors about these kids, these white punk rockers coming around and kicking the kids out of the park, beating them up and doing whatever they wanted to do to them, because there wasn't that many Mexicans at the time in the city of Burbank. And we ran across them at the park. They tried to kick us out, and they just jumped off. There was a few of them that were older, so we were having to, they would try to punk us. But there was enough of us that we wouldn't take it. We were just gonna fight back.
Did any of these fights between the Mexicans and the whites make it to the media or the newspaper? Was it actually talked about?
At first, it wasn't. I think the first time it ever came out, like in the media, was when they stabbed me. I know about 5 different neighbors came and got me at my house, and they were part of it. But a lot of people ended up going to hospital that night, and their name was brought up in it. So that's like the first time that ever got brought up. According to Burbank PD, they banded together to protect themselves from the Mexicans in the area. That's the way they turned it around. When we first moved to Burbank, we went to a barbershop, and they told us, I was a kid, they said, go tell your parents we don't cut Spick's hair. Okay. I went to tell my dad. They didn't know what the word spick. I had never heard of it because I grew up in East LA. So I never heard of that word spick. I didn't know what it meant. And then we would be going to school. My brother, like for instance, my brother went to a different school than me at the time. He went up on the top hill of Burbank, and I was going down the bottom for whatever reason. And they were jumping them. They were jumping the kids. Anything Mexicans, you would see a truckload of white kids pull up and jump out and start jumping the Mexicans. Get out of here, Spicks. And it just kept on getting more and more violent as time went on. And it's got to a couple shootings, a couple stabbings.
With the whites?
With the whites. I got stabbed by the white gang, yes. Twice in the lungs. We're living on the other side of Burbank on a street called Kenwood. And I was actually waiting for my girlfriend to come, my wife now, but and my girlfriend at the time, to pick me up because we're gonna go to movies or something. And a car pulled up. I was waiting outside, a carload, I was smoking a cigarette, a carload pulled up and they hit me up. Where you from? Oh, I told them or something. It came out, they said Elmwood. And I told them, fool, you ain't from Elmwood. I know everybody from my neighborhood. I'm from Elmwood. Well, it was a little Honda Civic. And I ran up and I had a stick or something. I hit them in the face. They took off. I had two other homeboys that were living there at the time. We were sharing a house. They came out to back me up, and about 20 or 30 guys came around the corner. We're like, oh, wait a minute, this is a setup. So next thing you know, I'm getting stabbed. I wasn't gonna run. So I let him getting stabbed. Another one of my homeboys was in critical condition. He got stabbed up, beat with some bats, and a couple people got busted. I got arrested for assault with a deadly weapon. They let him dropping it. They just came to my house to get me. It was that white boy gang, BPO, and then there was 4 other Mexican gangs that were involved. They ran around with Mexican gangs from the North Hollywood area, from Glendale area. And we were, by the time we had gotten into it with the first Mexican gang, little by little, we just started getting into it with different gangs, and it just expanded. Pretty soon, we were just hated in that whole area. Burbank 13, which is an older gang than us. There was the only other Hispanic gang that was in Burbank at the time. And then West Side Playboys started a few years later. They're up here in the hill. Then we have Violent Boys, Soul 13. And then you go into North Hollywood Boys, North Hollywood Locals, North Side 18. And then on this side we had West Side Locals, Tunerville. And that was about it right here, huh? Right? Yeah, that's about it. There was a couple of...
Frogtown too, right?
Yeah, Frogtown, Tunerville. But they had a couple neighborhoods that actually started in Burbank, and they were taken out right away. Burbank 13 has been around since the 70s. They've never really been too active. They've been around, they had their little neighborhood, but they were, they had a confrontation with the East LA gang, Cypress Park, back in the early 80s, and that was pretty much the end of them right there. It was a lot of heat coming from Cypress Park. West Side Playboys is still active. They've been here for 25 years maybe now. They started really small and they got pretty big, so they're established up in here. So that's about the only 2 neighborhoods right now established in Burbank. It was pretty much all of Lake Street, all the way to Allen. From Allen all the way to Olive, and then all the way down to Buena Vista, which is a good 2 or 3 miles away. So all this area was ours. And it's to this day, it's still the same.
Thanks for watching StreetTV.net. If you're not subscribed, please hit that button below and click the bell to receive alerts and notifications. Like and comment below to give us your feedback, and be sure to watch the 2 related videos to the right. If you want to support this platform or follow us on social media, visit the links in the description and listen to our weekly podcast, The Gangster Chronicles, every Thursday. And thanks for watching StreetTV.net.